Let's get philosophical. Critical Reflections on Conspiracy Theory. Authored by Kurtis Hagen. The following is a highly abbreviated and slightly modified reading of an article titled "Are Conspiracy Theories So Unlikely to Be True? A Critique of Cassam's Concept of Conspiracy Theories," which was published in the journal Social Epistemology in 2022 by Kurtis Hagen.
Are conspiracy theories so unlikely to be true? A critique of Cassam's concept of conspiracy theories. Cassam uses the capitalized phrase, conspiracy theories, to refer to conspiracy theories in the ordinary sense. That is, not just theories that posit conspiracies, but those that people actually argue about. In his view, they have 6 special features which make them unlikely to be true. Namely, they are speculative, contrarian, esoteric, amateurish and pre-modern, as well as self-sealing. Some of the features could be understood in multiple ways. Nonetheless, I argue, there is no set of interpretations according to which both of the following conditions are simultaneously true. 1. The theories that Cassam counts as conspiracy theories, including common 9/11 and JFK assassination theories, actually have those features, and 2. Those theories are rightly regarded, on account of having those features, as so implausible that they do not deserve thorough assessment according to their evidentiary particulars. On the contrary, I argue, under some interpretations of these features, many significant purported conspiracy theories do not actually qualify as conspiracy theories. And, under other interpretations, the possession of these features is not seriously epistemically problematic. For Cassam's argument to work, he needs both of these conditions to hold for some specific interpretation of the features. Instead, he implicitly trades on ambiguities. Feature 1: Conspiracy theories are speculative. Cassam writes,
"By speculative I mean that they are based on conjecture rather than knowledge, educated, or not so educated, guesswork rather than solid evidence."
This appears to be 2 different distinctions, one that contrasts conspiracy theories with a high standard, knowledge, the other that contrasts them with a looser one, solid evidence. In the latter case, the line between educated guesswork and solid evidence is not clear. This problem is made particularly acute when Cassam likens solid evidence to direct evidence in contrast to circumstantial evidence. He writes,
"Conspiracy theorists think that they have solid evidence in support of their theories, but it's in the nature of conspiracy theories to rely on circumstantial rather than direct evidence."
Cassam here exposes his confusion about such evidence, and perhaps ignorance about relevant cases. Circumstantial evidence is not necessarily insubstantial, it can be quite compelling. There is nothing suspect about it. Consider this: there is no direct evidence implicating Lee Harvey Oswald in the assassination of President Kennedy. The whole case is entirely circumstantial. That need not be a problem for the Warren Commission, since people are convicted on the basis of strong circumstantial evidence routinely. It is a problem, however, for Cassam. Because if this is the distinction he means to appeal to, then it doesn't differentiate conspiracy theories from some official accounts of the same events, including the most famous, purported, conspiracy theory. More generally, the looser we are about what counts as solid evidence, the harder it is to say that mature conspiracy theories don't meet that modest standard. However, the stricter we are about it, as the standard approaches genuine knowledge, the less clear that even official accounts meet the standard. So, it seems Cassam has failed to provide a clear distinction that is significantly epistemically informative. In other words, if, on the one hand, being speculative just means unproven, then a conspiracy theory is like any theory, as opposed to an established fact. But we don't dismiss theories simply because they are not established facts. If, on the other hand, being speculative means not just that a theory is unproven, but that it is poorly evidenced on the whole, then it is unclear whether some prominent examples of conspiracy theories really should count as such. Whether or not the evidence for them is poor is precisely what supporters of those theories challenge, often in painstaking detail. For many theories that Cassam counts as conspiracy theories, it is misleading to suggest both that they can easily be classified as speculative, and that being speculative, in that very same sense, significantly undermines them as potentially true theories. In sum, the quality of being speculative does not provide a significant marker separating theories that ought to be taken seriously from those that warrant little consideration. As M. Dentith has pointed out, quote, if we were to take Cassam's view seriously, then an awful lot of speculative work elsewhere would need to be treated with the utmost suspicion. Feature 2. Conspiracy theories are contrarian. Cassam suggests that conspiracy theories are contrarian in a particular sense.
The thing that conspiracy theories are contrary to is appearances or the obvious explanation of events.
However, we know that frame-ups, false flag operations, cover-ups and misdirections occur, as well as biased reporting based on presuppositions or self-interest. As even Cassam himself points out,
the whole point of a false flag operation is to do one thing while making it appear that something else happened.
Cassam, surely, would not deny that false flag operations, such as Operation Himmler and the Mukden incident, occur. He even cited the planning of Operation Northwoods as an established fact and referred to it explicitly as a false flag operation. So, supporting a theory that is contrarian in this respect, that is, being contrary to appearances or what is framed as obvious, cannot be inherently problematic. And even if actual false flag operations are rare, when they do occur a lot may ride on whether or not they are exposed. So, it does not seem wise to adopt a dismissive attitude toward such explanations a priori. Further, what appears to be the case, or seems obvious, may depend on how the circumstances are framed. It may be that the surface features of an event, those highlighted by official sources and the obliging media, are not, upon closer scrutiny, the most epistemically important. As an analogy, it seems obvious, on some level, that the world is flat and motionless, even though it isn't. More scrutiny provides reasons that override our superficial first impression. So, the fact that a theory is contrarian in this sense is not a good reason to dismiss it. Cassam may say that he is only claiming that such theories are unlikely to be true. But the likeliness, or plausibility, of a theory needs to be determined on a case-by-case basis, taking into consideration all the available relevant evidence, not just surface appearances. It is not useful to say that false flag explanations are unlikely in the abstract. If there is strong evidence that that is what happened in a particular case, then it is at best misleading to persist in calling it unlikely. Faced with this, Cassam may want to suggest that once there is clear evidence that an event was a false flag operation, then that interpretation becomes the obvious one. But how do we get there? And what do we do about more ambiguous cases? Cassam's suggestion that contrarian theories should be dismissed is an impediment to serious and intellectually honest search for the truth. And for this reason, it is also potentially dangerous. Feature 3. Conspiracy theories are esoteric. Extrapolating from the contrarian feature of conspiracy theories, Cassam describes them as esoteric, that is, they allege something that is far from obvious. Conspiracy theorists let their imaginations run wild, suggests Cassam. Providing a classic slippery slope argument, Cassam rhetorically asks,
if how things are isn't how they look, who is to say how strange the actual truth is?
Cassam then gives an example of a theory he regards as preposterous, or at least amusing, which involves a theory according to which JFK was shot by a man who looked like Oswald but was not Oswald. That possibility is neither preposterous nor amusing if one has reasons to take seriously the possibility that Oswald was framed. And there is significant evidence of Oswald being impersonated in other contexts. But it hardly matters, for few people deny that some conspiracy theories appear preposterous. While some preposterous-sounding conspiracy theories might nevertheless turn out to be true, the more important point is that the fact that there exist preposterous-sounding conspiracy theories does not imply that all conspiracy theories are preposterous. Even if all theories Cassam would class as conspiracy theories really are esoteric in some degree, they are not all esoteric in the same degree. And, in the case of many of the theories Cassam classifies as conspiracy theories, it is not at all clear that they are too esoteric to deserve a full and fair hearing, especially after some consideration of the arguments put forward for them. Further, even the defense of official accounts sometimes resort to appeals to esoteric theories to explain contrarian accounts, that is, accounts that seem to conflict with what appears obvious. Consider the following. Footage of the moments after the assassination of JFK shows many people, including policemen, running toward the grassy knoll, apparently in earnest, not in panic. It suggests that it appeared obvious to many people on the scene that the grassy knoll was a location from which shots were fired. Supporters of the official story have explained this away by suggesting more esoteric explanations involving sound waves bouncing off buildings, making things seem different than they really were. In addition, footage from the Zapruder film shows Kennedy's head moving back and to the left as it was hit, suggesting that it was obviously hit from the front. It is supporters of the official account that again argue that things are not as they seem. They propose more esoteric explanations, such as the neuromuscular reaction hypothesis and the jet effect hypothesis. The validity of these esoteric explanations of Kennedy's movements is disputed, but the truth of this matter is not our concern here. Rather, the point is twofold. 1. It is not the case that rejecting the obvious implications of salient facts differentiates purported conspiracy theories from official accounts, and 2. It is not epistemically problematic to reject seemingly obvious implications, provided one has good reasons for rejecting them. And that, the quality of the reasons supporting one's interpretation, is something that must be judged on a case-by-case basis by careful examination of the relevant details, not by appeal to heuristics. Feature 4. Conspiracy theories are amateurish. The fourth special feature of Cassam's conception of a conspiracy theory is this.
They are, by and large, amateurish.
Cassam clarifies.
That's not a comment on their intellectual merits, but on the qualifications of the amateur sleuths and internet detectives who push them.
Relying mostly on derisive language to create the desired effect, Cassam is saying that this feature is not about the theories themselves, but entirely about the qualifications of those who promote them. Let's do a reality check. Professionals who support a conspiratorial account of the assassination of President Kennedy include the following: historians, journalists, and lawyers. It also includes the following: John Newman, who is a former political science professor and was an executive assistant to the director of the NSA. Harold Weisberg, who was in the OSS during World War II, an investigative reporter, and an intelligence analyst of the U.S. State Department who spent 4 decades researching the JFK assassination. Fletcher Prouty, who was the Chief of Special Operations for the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time of the Kennedy assassination. Charles Crenshaw, who was a doctor who participated in the effort to save Kennedy. Gaydon Fonzie, who was an investigative journalist as well as a researcher for the Church Committee and the House Select Committee on Assassinations. And Josiah Thompson, who was a professional private investigator for 35 years, working some high-profile cases such as the Patty Hearst kidnapping. And these are just people who have written books on the JFK assassination supporting a purported conspiracy theory. Why would the qualifications of these people compare unfavorably to, say, the members of the Warren Commission? In any case, Cassam clearly recognizes that some conspiracy theorists do have appropriate qualifications. Presumably he is aware of people like Cyril Wecht, a distinguished forensic pathologist who supports a conspiratorial interpretation of the assassination of President Kennedy. Cassam, however, seems to imply that such people are outnumbered by amateurs. But why would that be relevant? Amateurs that believe official stories vastly outnumber the experts that defend them too. Perhaps the idea is that experts that support official accounts outnumber those who reject them. However, minority opinions should not be simply dismissed because they represent a minority. And it seems that most of the qualified experts who favor official stories haven't studied the evidence of alternative theories very deeply, so they lack a significant expertise. And they are incentivized to stick with what is officially accepted, both because it is easier and because they know that rocking the boat can be career-limiting. In any case, Cassam seems wrong to suggest that what is important is the qualifications of the author rather than the intellectual quality of the work. He may be looking for a shortcut so that the burdensome consideration of the quality of the evidence is not necessary. But that is not sound epistemology. Feature 5, Conspiracy Theories are Pre-Modern. The fifth feature of Cassam's account of conspiracy theories is that they involve a worldview that is pre-modern, in a certain specific sense. Cassam explains.
It is the view that complex events are capable of being controlled by a small number of people acting in secret, and this is what gives these events a deeper meaning. From this perspective, things always happen for a reason.
Consider the idea that complex events are capable of being controlled by a small number of people acting in secret. This could be interpreted in a strong sense or in a weak sense. According to the strong interpretation, the conspirators control things completely. Cassam encourages such an extreme interpretation when he refers to all-powerful hidden conspirators. Because the conspirators are all-powerful.
From this perspective, things always happen for a reason.
Cassam clearly means that the reason that everything happened the way it did is that the conspirators intended it to. This does seem to be an implausible worldview, which resonates with what Karl Popper called the conspiracy theory of society, and what Richard Hofstadter called the paranoid style. However, the people who support theories that Cassam counts as conspiracy theories do not generally hold this position. For example, JFK and 9/11 conspiracy theorists do not typically suggest that the conspirators have absolute control of everything, and many of them explicitly reject this. If, instead, we adopt a weak interpretation, then the control of events must be understood as imperfect. In this view, well-positioned people can put plots into motion and forcefully influence investigations at critical junctures. This does indeed seem to roughly capture what most purported conspiracy theorists believe. However, on this interpretation, it is not at all clear that such theories are implausible or in any significant sense, pre-modern. The degree of plausibility we should attribute to the idea that a small number of people are capable of imperfectly controlling, or perhaps we should say, influencing, a complex event will depend on the following: how much control is being posited, how complex the events being controlled are, how susceptible to control those events are, and how relevantly powerful or powerfully connected the supposed conspirators are. Some conspiracy theories may be fairly implausible on this score, but it will take a more detailed analysis to explain which ones are. Simply calling theories that involve powerful controlling parties pre-modern isn't going to do it. Feature 6, Conspiracy Theories are Self-Sealing. Later in the book Cassam adds a sixth feature of conspiracy theories: they are self-sealing. A conspiracy theorist, for example, can always expand the scope of the purported conspiracy. As Cassam puts it,
if one is a conspiracy theorist, then one is likely to view official attempts to question one's theories as part of a cover-up, part of the very conspiracy one is trying to uncover. Contrary evidence is dismissed either as fake news or as part of the conspiracy.
Unfortunately for Cassam, this does not seem to be true for many of the theories that he would count as conspiracy theories. As philosopher Juha Räikä has argued,
the view that most conspiracy theorists end up making claims of larger and larger conspiracies is empirically false. Anyone who thinks that the most favored, explanatory stratagem of conspiracy theorists is to expand and expand their theories should read at least one book, there are many of them, that describes various conspiracy theories. Expanding one's theory has been only one strategy among many, and it has not been very popular. The relatively common view that a runaway expansion is characteristic to many conspiracy theories is simply false.
On the other hand, if powerful people were engaged in a conspiracy, one could reasonably expect an attempt to cover it up, possibly involving setting up false clues from the beginning. So, positing a cover-up is not necessarily unreasonable, nor a reason to be dismissive. Whether positing a cover-up in a particular case is reasonable or not will depend on the specifics of the case. After all, cover-ups happen. In the JFK case, there is little doubt that there were attempts to cover some things up. To give just one example, the FBI agent assigned to Lee Harvey Oswald, James Hosty, was told by his superior to get rid of this, upon which he tore up a handwritten note from Oswald and flushed it down the toilet. Hosty believes there was a benign cover-up. Pertinent questions include, what exactly was being covered up? And what was the scale of the cover-up? Unfortunately, one can't begin to answer such questions if one is reflexively dismissive about suggestions of cover-ups because they supposedly make the theory self-sealing. Further, besides cover-ups, there are other ways for a theory to be self-sealing, which enable official accounts to be self-sealing as well. When a jury found that government agents were involved in a conspiracy in connection with the murder of Martin Luther King Jr., for example, the government simply declared the verdict to be unfounded, and the mainstream media was essentially silent. The bottom line is this: conspiracy theories have not been shown to be self-sealing in an epistemically problematic way such that this quality gives one a significant reason to reject those theories in favor of official accounts, which can also be self-sealing in their own way. What one should believe, once again, will depend on the actual evidence in the particular case. Conclusion. Cassam suggests that the special features of conspiracy theories make them unlikely to be true. However, most of the features are actually epistemically unproblematic, at least on some reasonable interpretations of them. But if one insists on extreme interpretations, especially in the case of the pre-modern feature, it seems that some of the main examples Cassam uses should not count as conspiracy theories after all. And so, Cassam has not done what he seems to think he has done. He has not provided good reasons to be dismissive about the theories he discusses, or at least many of them, including JFK conspiracy theories.
You have been listening to a highly abbreviated and slightly modified reading of an article titled "Are Conspiracy Theories So Unlikely to Be True? A Critique of Cassam's Concept of Conspiracy Theories," which was published in the journal Social Epistemology in 2022 by Kurtis Hagen.